Okay, do I have something I'm really excited to share with you because about a year ago, now it's almost humorous at how different life was for me. And this was only a year ago where I was super sensitive to just life. Life was kind of overwhelming, and this led to basically me hardly being able to leave my apartment. And when I left my apartment, I had to really have a plan, how to make sure I had anti-anxiety medication on me, all these like things that were sort of because there were so many different ways I could get overstimulated and move into anxiety and move into panic as a result. And I know this isn't everybody. I know not everybody's, regularly concerned, are you going to have a panic attack? But I mean, this is definitely a reality for some people. And it oddly became a reality for me. And I'm not somebody who really had much experience with all of this, only a little while before, and suddenly I became very sensitive to a lot of things, and I'll do another video on that at some point because it's really useful for people to know. But the cool thing was when I learned what I'm about to share with you, life changed very quickly. So what we're going to do today is it can be used standalone, but if you have done the meditation that I've recorded of that I walk somebody through of active centering, where you're guided into meditation, and in that meditation, I guide you to find within yourself the spot that when you kind of touch it, it brings you back into a very centered, grounded state. And for me, it was somewhere around the navel region. And what I started finding out was, as I was going about my day, if I just tapped in, if I just touched that navel region, I would suddenly start feeling more grounded. So if you haven't done that meditation yet, or if you did it the first time but really didn't kind of pay attention to where in your body you were noticing it, and realize you can basically turn like any part of your body into basically a button where you press that button and it can bring out whatever state you want. So if you want a grounded state, because that's going to help you, and you bring yourself into a grounded state, you touch yourself there, your body starts associating that touch with that state of groundedness and centeredness, which is why that works. And in a similar way, this is what we're going to do today in another thing that involves very minor visualization, and within moments, within just a few breaths, life can be very different for you, what you experience. And once I did this, just the first time, once I was aware of it, I could start doing situations that previously would have overstimulated me very easily. So I'm really excited that that's what we're going to share. That's what you're going to learn right now. Obviously, play this back if you need a refresh, but that's what we're about to go into right now. So, as you can see, I am, well, you may not be able to see my feet. You probably can't, but I am in a stream or a creek, as people would have it, and I'm in a redwood forest, and pretty darn good place to be when you want to ground yourself, when you want to unwind, and when you have the opportunity to get into nature and ground, which I do most days. It is really good. It can bring you back and really bring you back into your body. All the stuff going on in the outside world, can sort of calm down. It can settle down, at least for a little while. But you're not always going to have this situation. You may be in a busy situation. You might be in a grocery store that's just moving along. You might be like I was. I had a 24-hour day where I was basically traveling for 24 hours on and off of flights, and didn't get much sleep. And then I ended up in the LA airport going through a security check with a long line, very uncomfortable. And this is the exact thing I did then to come back to it. So all that this is doing is really getting intentional with our breath and visualization. So what you're going to want to do on the inhale, and this is what tends to cause people all the anxiety that they're experiencing in their lives, is oftentimes when we feel emotions come up, especially the unpleasant ones, and sometimes, by the way, they're not our emotions. So we people are way more connected than I think we learn in school, and science is beginning to come out showing just how much we can energetically impact each other. So you might be having a great day, but if you're around a bunch of people who are stressed or who are anxious or who are, just in a bad mood, that can rub off on you. And suddenly you're feeling the way other people in the room are feeling or other people around you. Or, if you're looking on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you're on social media and there's negativity going on, you may pick up the negative emotions that somebody's, putting into their tweets because they're worded in a certain way, they have a certain tone to them, and that might be affecting you. Well, you probably don't want to walk around all day with it and just hope, and grumble your way through the day. There are more effective ways to make things happen. And so understanding some of the emotions you might be experiencing, they very well could be you, but they might not be. What isn't helpful as you're experiencing emotions, especially when they're the unhelpful ones. I'm talking anxiety, I'm talking fear, I'm talking anger, whatever the negative emotions are in your life, they tend not to be useful. Although they probably do, they could possibly be serving a good purpose. So you may have had something happen in your life, it triggers an emotion, and that emotion may be useful. Let's say it's grief. Well, if that emotion's coming up for you, it might be useful in letting you know, hey, you've got some stuff you need to process. You've got some stuff you need to work through. So emotions are really great as sort of like little flags, little beacons saying, hey, we're here. Take a look at us when you get a chance. The problem is what we've learned to do as a society, because we're never really taught what to do with our emotions, is we basically generally either repress them or act them out. And so like we kind of implode or we explode, and we don't really know what to do instead. And unfortunately, when we explode, this can lead to very unhelpful consequences in our everyday life. So if you're angry, you burst and get mad at your boss, get mad at your spouse, get mad at your children, probably not helpful for you. Maybe you're sad and you're in an office meeting, probably not useful in the meeting to burst into a flood of tears, right? Similarly though, the way some diseases happen in our body is because we're trapping emotions. We're not letting ourselves fully feel them, fully move through them, and once we get on the other side of them, that emotion gets released. We no longer have it in our body, and we're a much healthier person for it. There's a book called The Emotion Code that explains in a lot more detail how emotions get trapped in our bodies, and that's not really useful for this. This is the exercise to help you process the emotions quickly in the moment so you can be grounded, and you may have to come back to this later on. So you feel the emotion, you quickly ground it because it's not useful in the current moment, and then maybe later you will have to go back and do a little bit more processing on it. But this is a very useful tool for grounding yourself so you can be in a state of calm. And from that state of calm, it's amazing how much better the decisions and actions you make as a result are going to be than when you're making a decision in an emotional state. Right? Emotions are fantastic. That's one of the reasons we're here on this earth. Unlike many other animals, humans have the ability to both feel emotions and then decide really what they want to do with them. Most animals are just sort of reacting, whereas we have time to actually contemplate and be conscious of these emotions, which is very cool. So here is the exercise. So on the inhale, you are going to allow yourself to feel whatever emotions are coming up for you. You're going to allow these emotions to come in, and you're going to allow them to be felt in your body in the inhale, on the inhale. So on the inhale, you're allowing yourself to feel whatever emotions are happening to you, okay? And as you're allowing these emotions to be felt through your body, you do not need your brain to be asking, where did this emotion come from? Why am I feeling this? There's no judgment. Right now, there's no analysis. You're just allowing the emotion to be felt. Once you're in a grounded state, once you're in a place where you can be more contemplative, maybe it's useful to go back and say, I wonder why I was feeling angry earlier today. And then you can reflect on your day, you can reflect on your life, you can reflect on what happened. Maybe you do come to a conclusion. Maybe it even gives you some insight into what you can adjust in your life. So you're not triggered in the same way that you were this one time that this emotion came up. But like we said before, the emotion may not be yours. It may legitimately be somebody else's in the atmosphere around you. So what you can do for yourself is allow yourself to feel whatever emotion is coming up for you. And here's the interesting thing, because I don't think a lot of people realize this. I know I didn't for a long time, is even unpleasant emotions will pass. So even if you're feeling something very uncomfortable, it will not be there forever. It is only there long enough for you to really take note of it, really understand why it's there, and then be able to process it. So I just kind of want to let people know, like, when you feel something, like, this is why I think a lot of people repress, is because we've never been trained what to do with emotions. So we're afraid if we go into a depressive state, if we go into an anxious state, if we go into a state of scared or being fearful, I think sometimes people are afraid that they're going to be like locked into that state, and that's going to become their new identity, when in truth, emotions are very fluid until we decide to put up a dam and wall them off. And so we're going to allow our emotions to be fluid again. So you're going to feel everything on the inhale. And then on the exhale, you are going to imagine that these emotions are leaving you. On the exhale, your breath is leaving your body. And you're going to intend in your mind that these emotions, in whatever way makes sense for you, are running off of you, are running down you, and are returning to the center of the earth. And once they're in that center of the earth, the Earth Mother, Gaia, she can ground these emotions for you. Now, if you're not a spiritual person, that is okay. This is still going to work for you. This is just an intention you're setting. It's really the visualization that's happening in your mind. There are some spiritual teachers that believe humans in our DNA have a very special relationship with the earth, and that she is our mother, and that she is here to help us and support us and love us. And I mean, that's why all of her plants and different animals on this planet work for us. We have a cohesion with them because we're meant to. We're meant to have a symbiotic relationship where we take care of the earth and she takes care of us. So when we're feeling these emotions, we can send them back into the center of the earth, and this is a way of allowing this to leave our bodies. And I know for me, when I am doing this, in just a moment, I am going to guide us through a few breaths of this. For me, as I'm breathing on the inhale, I'm imagining the breath coming from my feet, even below the soles of my feet, coming up through my body, through my legs, through my torso, coming up all the way around up to for some people, it goes all the way up to their head. For me, I really kind of breathe more into my heart center, my heart area. And then on the exhale, I imagine as if all these emotions that I have are releasing and running down the front of my body, down past my waist, past my knees, past my feet, all the way down into the earth, all the way into the crystalline center of the earth. So that's what we're about to try. It sounds goofy because of some of the metaphors I used. Fantastic. We can still roll with it. At the end of the day, all we're doing is, on the inhale, we're allowing ourselves to feel whatever emotions we're feeling. And by the way, we are doing relatively slow and deep inhales and then slow exhales. And by doing this, we're sort of resetting our, I believe it's our parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the fight or flight for when somebody's experiencing anxiety. But we're really just resetting our body, because oxygen is life. Oxygen does have this power to help settle us down. And that's all I'm going to go into for now. So what I would recommend we do is we're going to practice this a few times, and then if there is any sort of emotion, any sort of moment you can think of, that's happened to you, and maybe it's even happening right now. Maybe you're in a place where there are some things that are sort of triggering you, right? Well, then we can actually practice this experience in real time, and we're going to see what it does for you. So, with me, you're going to inhale, and then you're going to exhale. And you don't need to do the hand movements that I was doing right there. I'm doing it to sort of let you know this is me inhaling, this is me exhaling. And whether you choose to breathe with your mouth or your nose is really up to you. Our nose does have more receptors in it, so our brain and body actually prefer we breathe through our nose in general. But what's way more important is you're following the practice rather than, worrying about whether it's your mouth or your nose. You don't need to take inventory on that as you're having a moment that's emotional that you would rather not be having at the moment that you're having it. So, now what I'm going to encourage you to do is think of a time in the last few days, even today if you want, that was stressful for you, or that was uncomfortable for you in some way, and you wish you had a different experience with it. You wish you were a little bit more grounded. You wish you were a little more peaceful. You wish you were a little more present. So what I'm going to recommend you do when you have that emotion is just feel it, and we're about to go through this again. So on the inhale, I'm going to guide you, and on the inhale, which I'm about to do, I'm going to encourage you to feel that emotion as thoroughly as you can. So and then I'm going to encourage you to exhale and return it to the center of the earth in whatever way makes sense for you. And then I'm going to encourage you, inhale again, and remember on this inhale, deep, slow, and then whenever you're ready, you can exhale. And as you exhale, you can imagine as if there's a gentle river going down into the earth. And then inhale again. Remember, feeling whatever needs to be felt. And you can exhale, return it to the center of the earth. And we'll do this one more time. Inhale, remember, no judgments, no thoughts. We just allow whatever emotions are happening to happen. And then you can exhale. And I know for me, I actually imagine as if there's an anchor that connects me from the crown of my head through my spine, through my tailbone area, and brings me all the way down, rooted into the center of the earth. And as I am experiencing emotions which at the moment are not serving me, I do the deep inhale, and then I breathe it back down into that center of the earth. And there is something special about realizing that anywhere we are standing in the earth, on our 2 feet, we can be directly centered, directly connected through our spinal column into the earth as if there is an anchor. And it's interesting, if we move even a little bit one way or the other physically, that anchor is still there. That anchor is still bringing us deeply rooted right into the center of the earth, where we can notice that while we are pushing down on the earth, she is pushing back equally up on us and actually literally supporting us. And there's something special about that that I've found very useful when I am doing this grounding exercise. So one more time, I'm going to invite you to feel an emotion that, or think back to a time, or it might even be useful to think to a time in the coming days when you might want to be a little bit more grounded and centered. You kind of know how it typically goes. There's sort of a routine to it. Now is the opportunity to practice and to try something new. So, again, I'll give you a moment. And if you have done that meditation that I have, that I recorded, that will be at the end of this video, I would recommend you, as that moment is coming up in the future or the past, whichever one, that isn't really that ideal, I invite you to first tune in to that spot within you that helps you reconnect with your center. And you're going to notice that right as you do that, the situation might change some. And then once you are connected with that center, and once you imagine actually that connection to center connecting you deeply all the way into the center of the earth, it's like you have an invisible but energetic cord that is perfectly connected between you and the Earth Mother, between you and the center of the earth, where you can ground, where all these emotions can go, something that is supporting you, keeping you grounded, keeping you stable, keeping you centered, even when everything in the day isn't going perfectly or as planned. So remember that moment, touch in, feel that centeredness, and then on the inhale, invite in every emotion you're feeling, whatever it is, and then exhale, returning it to the earth. One more time, inhale, and then I already did the exhale, and then inhale one more time, feeling whatever you feel, and then exhale. So I will say, when I do this, it only takes me a few inhales and exhales to be very grounded in my body and very much capable, even in a world where things might be very chaotic. So I invite you to try this, practice it, and if you've got any questions, please put a comment, and I would love to know how this is going for you. And that is all for now. And take a look at this meditation video if you have not checked it out yet. I think it's very useful, and you really only needed to listen to it once, although listening to it more than once will just reinforce everything. But listen to it once. Your unconscious mind will pick up what needs to be picked up, and it's a way of guiding you into setting up a physical anchor for you. So that's basically like the Staples easy button, that whenever you're ready, boom, you can come to a grounded place. And then using this breath work that we just practiced, you can be good to go. So thank you, and I can't wait to talk to you soon.